Bruh. Hello, gamers. Oh. Welcome to a new episode of Emanuele Writes a Bunch of Code and Documentation about Linux and GNOME and GTK. Oh. On Friday, I actually merged. Well, no, on Friday. When was that? Saturday? No, it was yesterday. Was it? Yeah, I lose track of time. That's what happens. But yeah, I finally merged the Python examples for the getting started documentation, which was an interesting experience. Yeah, I finished writing the last two lessons, the saving files and saving state, and I decided, well, screw it, let's just merge the entire thing. There's no point in waiting, and to be fair, by merging early, I can figure out if stuff is actually working or not. And the other thing that I can do is basically just encourage people to contribute examples in other languages, at the very least in time for GNOME 42 to be out. And if GNOME 42 is out, then we can have probably examples in JavaScript or Bala alongside C and Python. And to be fair, the approach kind of worked. The approach of having the examples in C inside a tab and examples in Python inside another tab worked even when the steps necessary to follow the examples are different. So in C, you might have additional steps because class and instance initializations are two separate functions, whereas in Python, you only have instance initialization, which means you have a step less. Or the additional structures are different, so sometimes it's more the code or the number of steps are more compact in Python than they are in C, which is a good thing to deal with, because it's one of the advantages of not using C as a programming language for your GNOME applications. So the end result is that you get more concise code in many cases. So today I wanted to make a shorter stream because, well, I have a previous engagement later on today. So the stream today will probably end up in about an hour and a half or something. So it's not going to be a 3 hours like marathon. It's going to be a little bit shorter, because I wanted to do a couple of fixes and a couple of changes to the initial lessons about adding a content view, mostly dealing with style. It will require adding a new screenshot, for instance, and things like that. But I feel that people will actually enjoy it. And the other one was adding the toast lesson, because yesterday, right before I merged the new Python examples in the documentation, GNOME Builder received the new Python and GNOME example, templates, sorry, not examples, for the GNOME and GTK and GTK legacy applications. Which means by the time GNOME 42 is out, the documentation will match the what people will actually receive when they install GNOME Builder 42 and run it following the documentation. Which means we don't have to do a lot of stuff ourselves. I don't have to add steps about adding libadwaita to your source code. I don't have to have a step that says how to change the manifest to instead of using GNOME 41 as the runtime, you should use GNOME 42 or the nightly build. So as soon as you install GNOME 42 and GNOME Builder, actually 42 on your system, you will get GNOME 42, the GNOME 42 runtime, which will give you libadwaita, and the templates that you can create will use libadwaita as well. So I just need to change a couple of details here and there. I won't have to change the landing page because the name of the template will stay the same. It's going to be GNOME application. The screenshot will be slightly different because there will be an additional template. You will get GNOME application, GTK application, and GTK application legacy. So you'll get GNOME application for GNOME for GTK4 and libadwaita, and then GTK application for just GTK4, and then GTK application legacy will be GTK3. To be fair, I would add a confirmation dialog if you create a new template for GTK3, you should get a pop-up that says, "Are you sure?" But in general, it should stay the same, so it's gonna be fine. So it won't be a big deal if we switch to GNOME 42. I won't have to retake a lot of screenshots. Right, so we can probably go to my desktop now. Yeah. Right, if you go right now on the documentation, developer documentation website, you will find the new content, which contains the C example and Python examples. One of the things that I managed to do with the new Python example as well was backporting, well, cherry picking a fix in the Sphinx tabs extension that now support the dark theme. Because before that it didn't support it. The current development branch of the Sphinx tab extension for Sphinx has selectors for the dark theme, but there hasn't been a release since August last year. So I had to basically copy paste the changes inside the theme override for developer.gnome.org. As soon as we can depend on a new version of Sphinx tabs, we'll drop that. Oh, hi, Chipwill. libsoup and Unix domain socket, which motivated you to stay with Vala. That's great. That's absolutely great. I really love when people find a reason to contribute back as well. So good for you. Absolutely. I'm pretty sure that the Vala development, the Vala maintainers will be utterly rejoiced if somebody picks up the documentation and the website as well. So absolutely go for it. And yeah, if you want to help out with the examples in the developer documentation for GNOME as well, again, go for it. I'd be extremely happy. Okay. I also realized I didn't upload the VOD yesterday. I have to do a couple of tweaks to the stream video. I managed to do a whoopsie in a couple of places, so I'll upload the VOD of the previous stream and of this stream at the same time, probably tomorrow. So people will get the full experience in one day. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to change today was you may notice here that the window is, well, it's a normal libadwaita window. So you run it, and here we are. And one of the things that I wanted to change was adding the development style for the window, because people ask for it and it's not immediately clear how to do it. So I wanted to add a little note inside the getting started documentation so that people will immediately be able to start from that state. So in order to do that, I will use the Python one because I don't want to run the C code again. So first of all, I need to hide the button here because I need to take a screenshot of the old window. So I need to hide a couple of changes there. Since it's basically the initial state of the application, the first lesson. I'm going to add the stuff that we added beforehand. So this is fine. So let's take a screenshot like this. And then if you want to add the development style for your application, so let's assume your application is still in progress, still a work in progress, and you want to distinguish visually that you're running a development version of the application. Let me see if I can show it to you. Okay. So let's say, for instance, GNOME text editor. I'm running the nightly version, and the nightly version has this pattern here on the header bar. This is part of Adwaita as a theme, so it comes by default with libadwaita. In order to enable this, you have to add a style property to the window. So here we have our template UI definition file, and we want to add a style there. So let's move it here. So we do exactly like we did with the style for the label that we added in for the tracking the cursor position. And we use the style. Oh god, we use the style element here, and then we add a class here, and then the name of the class that we need to add is devel. So adding the devel class will enable the development style. Let me okay. So if we run now, we need to save it, and then we run it. Yeah, it's subtle, but you can probably see it. The header bar now has a this pattern style for the development, for a development phase, basically, of the application. So we're going to take a screenshot of this, and we will use it later on. Then we go to the development. Okay. So we go to the tutorials, beginners, getting started, and then content view. So we already have this image here, image content view, that we can reuse, that we'll have to replace. So we'll have to move the screenshot from my pictures folder. From today, and we are going to save it in source, tutorials, beginners, getting started, images, and we'll reuse the same name. So it's going to be content view. And then we're going to add it. Okay, we have a bunch of additional stuff here. And before we add the scrollable container here, we are going to add a subsection about setting the devel style. And we're going to follow pretty much the same pattern as the code above, the section above. So find the text viewer window. We can find okay, and add the following style. Since it's XML, we are not going to need to do anything else like tabs or anything. So we are going to copy this here. And then we're going to emphasize lines here. So it's not going to be 4, it's going to be 5, 6, 7. So between 5 and 7. The development style communicates to the user that the application is still no, these are development natural. Let's call it, let's use this instead. Okay, so we can do this like this, and then we can add content view. Okay. We are also going to need to change the other images because, of course, the style now has changed. because if we then switch to the next lesson, we are going to have this, and it will be different again, and this too. So we'll have to take 2 screenshots there, and here as well. We don't have other screenshots. Yeah, we don't have other screenshots. That's fine. So we're gonna have to take all the other screenshots. The first one is going to be the open button. Here. So we're gonna save it as a screenshot. And then we are also going to, oh no, we're gonna open a file here as well. We are going to open the copying file because it's, where is it? It's viewer, copying. Okay. That. And then, yeah. Close it, and we are gonna remove the hidden here, run it again, and there we go. So we're gonna use it later on. So now we can go here and we can replace all the screenshots. So choose screenshot 223. Okay, the first one is going to be 26, and it's going to be the opening files. So we're going to move it to tutorials, beginners, getting started, images, and it's going to be opening files. And we're going to move the 27.4 opening files main, and then we're going to move the last one as cursor position. Okay. Okay, next section on the stuff. Okay. So this is going to be fine. Let's build and verify that stuff works as expected. The warnings are fine. Okay, so nothing seems to be broken. Now we need to close a bunch of this stuff. Okay, so now we can go to the toast section. Now first let's open a merge request with the latest changes. Oh, did I do something stupid? Yes, I did something stupid. I did something incredibly stupid. Yep. Luckily, the git ref log saved me once again. Yep, the git ref log, it saved me from doing something incredibly stupid, which is basically just having to redo everything. Okay. Add a section on the about file. Add a lesson on the algorithm posts. Right. Yeah, that was incredibly stupid. As usual. When dealing with Git, sometimes I forget about stuff. I mean, I cannot be the only person that messes up with Git. Luckily, sometimes Git has a way to work around the yeah, the stupid fingers. The Git cheat sheet. I've been using Git for long enough that I tend to remember the ways to fix the stupidity of my own finger memory. For a bunch of stuff, I managed to condense it into aliases that I can remember. Like the whole thing of using gitmr instead of pushing to a branch and then opening a merge request and stuff like that. It's a lot easier to deal with. And the trick of using fix-up commits to avoid having to deal with rebasing constantly and forgetting stuff is kind of another thing that I scripted and trained myself into doing. Oh, hi, Georges. Ooh, using GTK widget as for paintables. Yes. You can upload the can upload an image of a widget straight up. That would be interesting. But yeah, I'm eagerly awaiting your work on the Steam Deck, this Stream Deck. Once you have an application that works, then I will hit the button and buy the deck myself. So everything rests on your shoulders, Georges. Okay, tutorials. Getting stuff. That would be great. Honestly, what the heck? Ugh, yuck. I have no idea what happened there. Probably something incredibly stupid, but it's fine. Right. Yeah, now I can see here. Yeah, that's good. The style is broken here again. What the heck? Okay, now it's working. Jeez. Firefox is having trouble. Having a lot of fun with this new toy. I honestly, it looks great. I've been eyeing the Stream Deck for a while. The only thing that prevented me from buying it already was that I didn't know if it worked, how well it worked on Linux. I'm always stumped by this kind of stuff. I also would love it as a tool, literally to program, because I have a lot of key combination. Having an additional keyboard for combos would be interesting. Sadly, I don't have a lot of space on my desk. I on purpose, let me add it, on purpose, I bought a very small desk, because if I have a large desk, which I also have right on my right hand side, you cannot see it because it's off camera, but I have a large desk, and the large desk tends to clutter itself pretty much instantaneously. I had to clean up my home office, and the amount of crap on it was terrifying. So when I moved I rearranged my home office, and I put a very small desk that mainly is capable of holding my keyboard, my mouse with a mouse mat, enough room for a cup of tea, and the audio interface. And everything is basically attached to the edges of the desk. So microphone and display arms and stuff. Because I don't want to make I don't want to have too much room here and having to deal with desk management. So I'll have to figure out where to put the Stream Deck, but I will get one now. What the heck? Okay, now it's working. And yes. Let me double check. Setting title. Set the development style for the main window. Yep, that's fine. Loading the content. Looks fine. And setting cursor position also works fine. Great. So. Okay. Toasts. So we already added the toasts in the C example, which means we're going to be fine with just writing basically we don't have to test it. I also added them to the Python example. So posts are displayed by overlay, which should contain, well, not which should, which must contain the rest of the application's content area. So let's add them to the UI definition file, find the right definition for text viewer window, and the let's see. So we basically need to add the child here. So yeah, find the definition for the text window that contains the main text area. Okay. Do we use insert or insert the post overlay between the text viewer as the child of the text viewer window and the parent of the text window. So maybe, yeah, the insert verb is not great, but we have to make do with it. So we are going to do this here. We are going to emphasize these two lines and these two lines. So it's going to be line 2 and 3, and then (15 and 16). 2, 3, and 15 and 16. Yeah, basically we need to deal with it, do it like this. So it's kind of backtracking a little bit. I don't particularly like backtracking, as I said in other streams. I prefer building on top, but sometimes backtracking is the only thing you can do, really. So now comes the interesting part. So now we need to have two separate paths, one for C and one for Python. So instead of essentially just copy and pasting what we did in C, in Python we have to start both at the same time, or pretty much. We cannot rely on one existing and the other being a copy, so we'll have to have them both at the same time. So we are going to start with tabs here, and then we're going to use group tab C and group tab Python. The group tab is an interesting feature of the tabs extension for Sphinx. So in the past I used tab and code tab. One of the interesting functionalities of code tabs is that the extension will save the currently open tab inside the web storage for the current page. And if there are tabs with the exact same name or identifier, then it will automatically open up or switch to tabs with the same identifier. So if I select the Python tab, it will switch to the Python tab everywhere. This functionality is automatic for code tabs, but for regular tabs, like text tabs, you have to use the group tab pragma here. So I switched that to here. So if I, as you can see, this is the Python tab. So if I select Python here, it will automatically select the other Python tab here, so that if we go, like for instance here, it's a more complex page with more option here. So if I select, if I don't have anything selected in memory, so it will use the C tab for everything. But let's assume that I decide that I'm interested in Python instead of C. I will select Python, and then every other tab will be selected to Python, will switch to Python as well. The other interesting bit is that the code tab uses the name, it typically uses the name of the language and capitalizes it, title cases it, which means that even when I'm not using group tab, if I'm using code tab and I'm using Python, then it will select the Python tab anyway. This makes it a lot easier to read and to follow through, because if you're interested in Python, you just need to select the first Python tab and it will go through the entire list, and you don't have to switch every time. It's very useful. So kudos to the Sphinx tabs maintainers and developers, because they did a really good job here. Okay, so right, the first step is binding the overlay to the source. We already did something similar when we added the cursor position, for instance. So we can pretty much follow a vaguely, well, not even vaguely, pretty much the same thing here. Like, you can literally copy and paste it. You can see this, I forgot about this. So group tab here and group tab here. Yeah. So we can literally copy and paste here, and then we can change a little thing here and there. So. Yeah. For the toast overlay. Overlay. And so we can also change here. We don't have to care about Adwaita being available or not. We know that it will be available as soon as GNOME 42 is released. So. Press the overlay here. And we can change here. We'll have to change the number of the line number here and here because we added a line. And now we can go to the Python bit as well and copy that as well. Okay. Gonna be 8 here. Okay, this part here is the easy part. Let's see. We also need to change the index for the getting started document because now we have an additional section. Adding okay, let's fix it up. Let's try and build it and see what happens. If anything breaks. No, it seems to be working fine. Yep. The only thing that's missing is the dark mode lesson, but that one, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it today. Push. Okay, let's see what happens when we push. Yeah, the toast one is probably going to be a lot of backtracking because we have to basically replace the error communication or the various error messages with toasts now. Which also requires a bunch of string formatting and stuff like that, especially in C is going to be. It's not going to be a huge deal, but it's going to be a small pain in the ass. I still promised to Alex that I would propose an addition, some additional API to libadwaita to generate to have the toast constructor use a format string as a C convenience. We are in API freeze at the moment, so I'm not going to be able to add it for GNOME 42, so I cannot rely on it anyway. But I promise I will open a merge request before the end of the week. Yeah, sadly C doesn't have format strings, so well, like Python format strings or JavaScript format strings, which is kind of annoying. Come on. I know you can make it. I know you can make it. Random 93, I know you can make it. I believe in you. Runner 93, please do not believe in yourself. Believe in the me that believes in yourself. Same. Okay. Tutorials. Getting started. Oh my god, what the hell is happening here? I don't know if it's a problem on my end, or it's a problem on GNOME's end, or it's a problem on like Firefox. I have no idea. Sometimes just loading stuff gets blocked. Okay, we have notifying the user with toasts here, which is great. Let's see. And yes, we are highlighting the new bits here and here. Why is not showing anything there? What the heck? I should be showing stuff. Oh. Ah. Yes. Fix up. There you go. Oh, hi, Andre. Oh, the Python GTask stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I'll hi Unibird as well. I'll upload the VOD. Yeah, probably I'm not gonna be home until late today, so I'll probably have to upload it tomorrow. Alongside this video. This video is gonna be easier. I found a couple of issues in the task when saving file, but the tutorial now is up to date, so it should be easy to follow, even in Python. Yeah, the saving file, it's quite tricky because the Python GObject overrides do not have well, they do not have a lot of overrides for GIO, which means you have to deal with a couple of bullshit things. I do wonder if I should spend some time on PyGObject and add those overrides. The problem with every time you add an override, you basically break existing code, which is not fun. So if I change the if I add an override for where is it? Here for load contents async loads content finish in Python, it wouldn't return, like, it would return the contents and probably raise how is it called, the an exception. So this code here would stop working because it wouldn't return an array, it would return an actual object here. So it would return the byte buffer, which is, yeah. And instead, right now returns a tuple with 2 elements. The first one is a boolean, and the second one is an actual object named contents. So this one could also be written as contents. Or this, which is ugh. But basically, yeah, if I add an override now, all the code that uses this stuff will break. And I don't know how many people are using all this asynchronous API in Python. For yeah, using gtask itself in Python is gonna be fun. But it should be possible, should be usable. The main problem with Python and threads, of course, is that you have to acquire the global interpreter lock and release it, and yeah. So even then, it's going to be problematic. I'll have to, basically, if I really wanted to have somebody writing the Python example for writing asynchronous operations using gtask, I would have to ask somebody that knows Python, knows Python a lot, and also knows how to interface Python with the rest of the GNOME platform. Because I would be very much useless in that case. Okay, so here I should have a new branch. Let's remove this. Let's browse this. So beginners, getting started. Again. It's like loading the style like very slowly. Okay, now it's working. So yeah, toast overlay, and now in Python, toast overlay is here. Perfect. And now we have to show the toasts. Yeah, it's important to have a source of truth and wisdom. It's one of the main problems of our documentation stack. It's really hard to figure out what is right and what is not, because we have half-finished documentation, piles of documentation, and you never know if it's up to date. So it's not even, I'm not even talking about correct, I mean like idiomatic. I'm talking about something that should be copied inside other places. It's why I'm writing all of this from a working example, so that I know that people can copy it and paste it inside their own application, and it should work. I know people that have already started doing like copy and pasting this code, and in some cases I found out that there were like mistakes because I fixed stuff in the documentation that I didn't fix in the source, and vice versa, so I ended up making a mess. But it's also true that I cannot build all this stuff as part of a CI pipeline, because it's actually really, really hard. I mean, I could build a C code, probably, if I installed all the dependencies, but if I didn't, but if I didn't, even if I did it for the C code, I wouldn't be able to do it for JavaScript and Python. I would need to run it, and all of this is interactive code. I cannot run it inside of a CI pipeline. Okay, so showing the toasts. In Python, we show the toasts inside our asynchronous code paths here. So let's start from the first use, the open file complete. So we are going to go to the opening file section here, and we'll find the last bit, the last incarnation of this function. So in case of error here, we are going to replace this stuff with a toast. And then after setting the title, we are going to also open up a toast. So we are going to have to copy this stuff here. Inside the toast section. Toasts are especially useful for notifying the user that asynchronous operation has terminated. The opening the file and saving it are two typical use cases for notification. So open notify opening. So we're going to do this here. So this is a code tab. So we're going to add the steps outside of the tabs. So find the open file complete for your window. Find the error logs and replace the find the no, add a toast at the end of the file, end of the function. So instead of doing this here, we are going to do here in case of error. Message here it's going to be gstr def unable to open. And we're not even going to add the error message here. And we're going to do line. Maybe so. First overlay, and then ADW gross new message. And here we go. And same thing here. Yeah. And same thing as above. Okay, so we'll have to emphasize these lines here. So we'll have to count 132 to 172. So it's going to be 40, 41, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's going to be here. Uh, 40, 41, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 48, and then the other one is going to be 50 to 50, 51, 52, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 50 to 58. And the final one. Name, and then post new message. Yeah, and this is going to be the very last line, the next to last line. So it's going to be 132 to 207. It's going to be 70, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 75 to 6, 7, 8, 9. 75 to 79. Let's see if I counted correctly. Yep. Okay. So this is going to be the easy part. Yeah, and here we're going to use the same message, unable to open. we're going to need, let's see, and instead of print is going to be self toast overlay toast, and it's going to be title here. So this is easier to deal with. We have to move this stuff down here. And the same thing here. Since we have to move this stuff down, I don't want to do an interleaved, like, we're already doing interleaved changes here with some backtracking. So we are going to go into the saving files bit and find the Python code. Sorry, the opening file. And in the opening file, we are going to move this bit down. So we won't have to do a lot of changes in the adding the toast lesson. Of course, we'll also have to change the lines there. Yeah. So we'll have to add it here. So it's going to be not, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it's going to be 4, oh, sorry, 3, 2, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The rest doesn't change. And so for the toast, we are going to do exactly the same, but we are going to put it here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Then here, this is going to be a long ass line. We'll also have to change it, so it's not path, but it's display name. And this one is going to be invalid text encoding. Name. Okay. So this line here is going to be 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, this one should work. We don't have a peak path anywhere. Okay. So let's add this. Commit fix up and we push it. Build it locally first. Okay. Let's push it and see what happens. Yeah, after that, we only have to notify after saving a file. And it's pretty much the same thing. We're going to go up here. Here. Hi, Jeff. Hope everything is going well for everyone here. It's midweek. Yeah, as I said, I'm going to do a short stream today. So it's going to be... I'm gonna have to leave in about half an hour or so. But I didn't want to skip a day. Well, I would have skipped the day if I had to go out around the same time I usually start the stream. But since I'm going to leave a little bit later today, I didn't want to skip the entire stream. Luckily for me, I have, in this case, a lesson that is not incredibly long. It's a pretty easy one, and I already had the code because I took some time earlier today and yesterday to deal with it and test it locally. So I only need to do the bits about the documentation. Notify the use of toasts. So, okay. Notify after opening a file. I counted wrong. Need to add one here and here, and add one here and here, and add one here. So, okay. Okay. So it's going to be 41 to 49, 51 to 50, and 76 to 80. And in Python, instead, it was really easy, just here and here. Oh, I need the last one. So, I need this one as well. So this one is going to be 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. And it's going to be self-post overlay post. Open this game. And that's it. Okay. So that was relatively easy. let's add a fix up commit so I don't forget the changes. And now saving files. So we take same thing. We take the snapshot of the very last snapshot of the save file complete. And we add a toast there. So here. And report. And use that toast. We can use a toast to notify the user that the operation succeeded or failed. So instead of doing this, we do this. Auto. Actually, no, we do this. In case of error, we do message equals gstring.path, unable to save to we need to get the we need to query the display name again. So we need to copy this block here. What are we going to do? Yeah, we're going to have to copy it here as well. Instead of peak path, we are going to do display name. So we're going to copy this stuff here, so we don't have to add the display name query on top of that. And we do this here as well. So we do this. And then we also do the display name bit here. Again, this is to avoid backtracking too much. We prepare everything inside the previous lessons, so we have it available in the following ones. So at this point, we can copy this stuff again and replace this here. No, here. So we can use g auto free message equals null, and then in case of error, we do message equals string enable to save. And if it's not an error path, we do printf say 2. Or we can use save as, able to save as, and then ABW first overlay, first overlay, ABW post new, and same thing here. So we use MSG equals unable to save as this. Otherwise, save as. And then we do self first overlay first. And that's it. And we can also emphasize lines here, so we do not leave stuff hanging. So yeah, we can emphasize all of these lines here. Sorry, all of these lines here. So it's going to be 1 258 to 286. 258 to 286 is 24. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 31. And we're going to emphasize lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. In this lesson, you learn how to notify the user of long running of everything that succeeded or failed using toasts. Do we have a toast component that I can link to? No, not yet. But yeah, it's fine. It's good enough. Okay, let's commit fix up and then push. And see what happens. Then we are gonna rebase everything and squash the fix up commits. and then we can merge it. Yeah, I do hope that other people will start contributing code samples for this section. I mean, people have been doing a great job of porting the examples to Vala and JavaScript, so I'm absolutely sure that in the very near future we'll have examples written in other languages for people to copy and use in their own applications. I'm absolutely sure that will happen soon. At some point, I might even publish the demo application as a Git repository, probably under my namespace on GitLab, so people can look at it and work on it. In its totality, instead of looking at small code samples here and there. My main problem is that I will have to rewrite it from scratch. Because a good thing, whenever doing this kind of examples, so you write a small application and then basically you use it as a template for a tutorial. The good way of doing this is to have a commit for each lesson. So you can basically just see the incremental changes for each lesson, which is also why I avoid backtracking or avoid changing existing code, existing part of the structure or the layout of the code in later lessons, unless it's absolutely necessary, like in this case where I replaced the error messages on the terminal with toasts. But ideally, what you do is you literally follow this entire thing as a commit. Then you switch to the next commit, and then you see what happened, and then you switch to the next commit and see what happened. So you can see what changed from a holistic perspective. Because the other option is to do what I've done with the GL area example code for writing OpenGL with GTK3 and GTK GL area, where I wrote the entire application it's a very simple application. It's literally just a triangle. But then I spent an entire document isolating each section and then explaining what it does. That is easier for, again, an application that shows a triangle. In this case, we are adding functionality, we are adding different functionality, we are adding asynchronous loading and restoring, and it's a lot more complicated to do from an overview perspective. You can find the style. I'm sure you can find the style. So this is the toast. Okay, now it's correct. The offsets are correct. This one is not correct at all. Great. Let's see first the Python one here. And I need to do 2 here. Okay. Oh, because here I didn't put any comment there. I have a ton of comments here, but I need to write all the comments here, but that will skew the numbers even more. So this one is fine, of course. The C version is not fine. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's gonna be like 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If this is 31, then it's going to be 32, 33, 34, 35. No. 35, 4, 3, 2, 1, 30, 29. It's going to be 29 to 35. And this one, yeah. Let's also add the comments here. So this one is going to be here. So it's going to be 10 to 14. And here we have a fuck ton of comments. So it's gonna be this. It's not gonna be 11. And then we have query the display name of the file. In case Varusha toast. And then ensure that the file is encoded with UTF-8. Then we retrieve the text buffer. Set the text using contents of the file. Reposition the cursor. Set the title. And show toast. So we're gonna have to count the lines again. Okay, so it's not gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to 13, 14, 15. Then we have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. We don't have as many comments here, so we're going to be fine. In theory, I should copy back these comments inside the open file as well. Like I have a bunch of comments here. Luckily, they're not emphasized, so I can simply copy it. This is all emphasized instead. It's gonna be fun, fun, fun. But yeah, I'm not gonna be dealing with this. I'll do that later on. So let's see. I'll update the comments when I merge it. And see what happens. Yeah, also because we are kind of getting close to the 42 release candidate. We already had the beta release. Then at the end of the week, we are going to get the string freeze. So no more string changes. Then first week of March is going to be the hardcode freeze. And then we have the release on the 19th. So 2 weeks after that. So we are in the final stretch for GNOME 42. It's going to be a great release. I'm absolutely convinced. libadwaita applications switching to GTK4 and libadwaita as well. It's going to be great. The desktop will look gorgeous. And people will start finally seeing GTK4 instead of GTK3. Ready to rebase my Silverblue installation? Yeah. I'm going to wait a little bit. But I will definitely update my Silverblue as well. So, notifying the user with toasts. Okay, now the offsets are correct. In Python as well. Yep, yep, and yes. Yep. Okay. Oh, that's great. So, yeah. Yep. That looks great. Okay, we're gonna stash this for the time being. And then we are going to base on main. Okay. We're gonna close this as well. Then we're gonna force push. There we go. Mark it as ready. And we're going to merge it when the pipeline succeeds. So let's go back to my big head. And here we are. Yeah, as I was saying, I'll have to cut the stream short today, but I think we got a fair chunk of work done. The toast lesson is going to be up in probably about 5 minutes. Needs to build a couple of times, but it's going to be available pretty much in, yeah, just give it 10 minutes. 10 minutes it will be up and running. So I'm pretty pleased with it. And the last lesson is going to be the dark style with Libadwaita. So that one is probably also going to be up and running. And I don't know, maybe I'll, yeah, I wanted to add the lesson about the state tracking object. So moving a bunch of stuff out of the widget tree and into a separate class. And once we have that, we can also store stuff like the current style. So if you selected to force the dark style on the viewer, then we deal with that. Another thing we might want to add is an option to enable monospace font, that it's bound to the text view. So I don't know if that should be the default or it should be an option, since this is a text viewer. So probably it's going to be set as not an option. It's a single it's a single option when creating the GTK text view inside the UI definition file. So again, I don't want to make this application too complicated. It's a demo. And we already have a text editor. Having a text viewer doesn't give us much. But I don't want, and I don't want to encroach into GNOME text editor territory. So I want to keep it very, very simple, very minimal. It doesn't even have an icon. So installing it will give you like the stock binary icon. But I think it's a reasonable first application to toy with. I have a couple of other ideas for demo applications that deal with images and maybe with, I don't know, media, but those can get pretty complicated pretty quickly. So I don't want to just, yeah, I don't want to basically just get into the woods there. Otherwise, it gets easy to lose people along the way. Okay, dokes. So I hope I will upload this pod tomorrow alongside the pod for Monday's stream, as soon as I fixed a couple of little issues there. If you enjoy watching me writing code and documentation for GNOME, then subscribe to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/abasi. Otherwise, subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I upload the VODs. And leave a comment and a like if you enjoy what I do, and if you want to see more videos about me writing documentation and code for GNOME. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I shall see you all on Friday. Bye.